From the Sumerians who first kept fish in artificial ponds, and the Romans who brought fish inside, to the first recorded stable aquarium kept by Anne Thine, fish have grown in our hearts and in our homes for thousands of years. Some of us have entire fish rooms dedicated to learning their behaviors, breeding, and sharing that experience with others, while others have a simple desktop beta they call their best friend. Fish are even used in therapy, in hospitals, veteran retirement homes, and many more throughout the world. Sadly, there are always a few who ruin it for the many. As uneducated aquarists release goldfish into the Hudson and Oscars into the Everglades, we watch the nature and the ecosystems that we care so much about be changed irreparably. So our government has decided to step in by sneaking an amendment to the Lacey Act into the most recent America Competes Act. And if passed, it may change not just the aquarium hobby, but the exotic trade as we know it.
But it would also direct more than
on the global stage after the House
advanced manufacturing at home in our country.
There is an act called the America Competes Act 2022.
Of tyrannical monsters.
Essentially what it's going to do is it's going to outlaw any fish that hasn't been scientifically studied for its impact in a place, in a state.
No, I hear people say, oh, they're going to do every single fish or what have you. That's not the case. That's a knee-jerk reaction. People are just going overboard with that.
Now, if you happen to watch the news, or any of your friends and family do, you've probably heard of or come across the America Competes Act. But what exactly does this entail, and how could it be a risk to the aquarium hobby, or to other exotic pet keepers alike? Now, with the current state of our world, being able to bulk up our country's stance on innovation and manufacturing is very important. I would hope by now that most of you understand the tensions building between Russia, China, and the United States. This means that becoming as independent as possible, as soon as possible in our manufacturing, is the main focus of the America Competes Act. Congress seeks to direct $32 billion towards chip and semiconductor manufacturing, $45 billion to support acquisition of critical goods and equipment that are essential for economic vitality, with a push towards diversifying innovation featuring a suite of bills focused on strengthening America's STEM force. This is no small act. Many of this with the goal of increasing America's competitiveness with China, but also our overall global stance in science education and technology manufacturing. In a nutshell, this covers everything from manufacturing to combating sexual harassment in the industry. And with so many great things that this bill has proposed, the news is pushing for a fast vote. However, they're not covering everything that has been put into this act. On the more mainstream side, you have the concerning changes to cryptocurrency, which have people in an uproar on social media. But on the lesser spoken about side, you have what we're here for today, the changes to the Lacey Act. In 1900, the Lacey Act was the first ever federal law passed that protected wildlife. And if you think that's great, well, it was. And in 2008, they even passed an amendment that prevented the trade and sale of products made from illegal logging. So why exactly is this a concern now? We're going to go over that. But in essence, the newest amendment to the Lacey Act is looking to put a mass ban on not only importing animals from overseas, but even crossing our own state lines. Now this next part is super important. They will not be taking your pets away. Fish and wildlife are not going to be knocking on doors. The creatures you currently have, you will still be able to keep and breed and even trade locally. The problem only occurs when you're trying to trade across state or international lines. So please, I know this may seem like a super obvious thing to some of you, but please do not start abandoning your animals. I'm sure some of you are wondering, if I can keep my pets and I can breed my pets, then what's the problem? Well, the problem is With this new amendment, you won't be able to cross state lines or international waters, which I know I've already said. But it means that any pet not being currently bred in your state will not be available to you in the future. It means if you plan to move, you won't be able to take your animals with you, and any of our local fish stores won't be able to get any of the new species or a variety of species, and will be beyond devastating to them as well. Keep in mind that not all species are bred in captivity in the first place, and if they are, it's very seldom, such as the African butterfly fish or the emperor gudgeon. These species would, in effect, be basically wiped from the aquarium hobby. Now, many of these basic laws we've been living under for hundreds of years under the Lacey Act, but there's some major changes coming this time, which is why we're all so nervous, and it may seem a little extreme, but some of these are a little much. Now, the first big concern is that Fish and Wildlife will be given the executive rights to put a ban on any animal at all, at any point in time, and you will again no longer be able to move them across state lines or import them. The second biggest concern is that we are moving from a blacklist to a whitelist, which means that in the past, there were only specific species we weren't able to import. However, there's going to be a blanket ban, and only specific species will be whitelisted to be able to be traded across state lines and internationally. And any species that we want to bring into the hobby, new or coming back, will have to have a full ecological study, which normally takes at least 5 years. That means that most species that don't have a proper Latin name or have been recognized for a long time in the hobby won't be able to be seen for a very long time. Now, if you like your standard goldfish and guppies that you can get from PetSmart, you're probably going to be fine and not be bothered by this. But if you like any unique species like me, you're going to be what we like to call shit out of luck. This is not only going to affect the personal hobbyist, but it's going to cripple, if not completely shut down, many of the local fish stores we've come to know and love. And forget us not being able to get a specific rasbora or cichlid. Let's talk about the livelihoods that are going to be destroyed by the hobbyists who had a true passion for this and took it to the next level. They're going to be shit out of luck. This is devastation, hidden inside of a pro-economy bill that it never belonged in the first place. Now, we spoke earlier about trying to keep our ecosystem safe, and that being one of the main intents. However, geophagus and betas are not what are destroying our waterways. It's the fish that already run rampant in every single state in America, such as goldfish and plecos. So this amendment is not going to be affecting that at all. If anything, this is expected to be more detrimental to ecosystems around the world, as many aquarium hobbyists look to keep endangered species to preserve them in the long run and hopefully be able to breed them and reintroduce them into their ecosystems. Aquarium hobbyists have saved over 30 different species of fish which went extinct in the wild, and that's aquarium hobbyists alone. This act affects so many more of us hobbyists, and so many of us have a true passion and love for these creatures. So what exactly can we do to stop this detrimental amendment from going through? Would we love to stop the release of invasive species and save our local ecosystems? Absolutely. But this isn't it. So write your local senators, check out the resources I have below to learn more yourself, or to find out other ways that you can proactively help to stop this massive change to our hobby. Take note, this has already passed the House of Representatives, so we're running out of time to make a change. Because of this, I included a poster below that you can print out and post at your local fish store, or download and post to your social media and share however you think will get it the most visibility. In conclusion, is this the end of the aquarium hobby? No, not even close. But it could be the end of the hobby as we know it. So don't risk sitting back and seeing what happens, and let's save our hobby.